Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. So, as many of you guys know, that publicly traded companies are required to file many forms with the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. So, for example, Supermicro Computers, ticker symbol SMCI, has on their investor relations website a lot of these forms that they filed with the SEC. So, for example, we can click the latest one, which is called an 8K, and you click it, you view the PDF, and you see it's like some boring looking form. But a lot of these boring looking forms actually have some extremely important information for trading that can literally change the stock price, like double it or half it or whatever. So it's very important for us to be on top of our game when it comes to SEC filings. But us as humans, we can't read SEC filings for so many companies out there. So this is where LLMs come in. So if we can have an LLM that can give us important insights and investment decisions or trading decisions based on these SEC filings, it would really help us. So in this video, I want to demonstrate how we can use an open source LLM from AI21 called Jamba 1.5 Large um, to analyze these SEC filings. Our use case is going to be super microcomputers, SMCI, because if you guys have been following the market, you'll know that SMCI is literally the craziest stock in the history of the world. So if you look at its chart, and just the start of this year, it was like basically $30, even less, $25. It went all the way up to almost $125. That's a 5x in March. So just in 3 months, it 5x'd. And then it crashed completely and it went to went 7 times lower than it is. And now it rebounded a little bit lately. So this is going to be our use case. Why is this going to be our use case? Because as most stocks trade on fundamentals, sentiment, momentum, macro. SMCI seems to trade on SEC filings. So first, let me give you guys some background information on SMCI and the latest crash, meaning kind of like maybe in this area here. So what happened is there's like a short seller group called Hindenburg Research. They made some sort of short seller report um, accusing SMCI of accounting irregularities, accounting bad things. SMCI dropped a little because of that, but not too much because, of course, Hindenburg Research, as a short seller, has the incentive for their price to go down. So people didn't take it super seriously, although the price did go down substantially. But then later on, they delayed their 10K filings, and this was like near the end of August. The stock went down about 20% in that period. And then later on, the two most recent events I want to talk about is one, their auditor, Ernst& and Young, resigned due to like concerns about financial reporting. This happened at the end of October. This was a pivotal event that literally crashed the stock in half in a matter of seconds. And then most recently, the stock doubled with an SEC filing that they rehired a new auditor and announced a compliance plan with the NASDAQ. So, like, to see this price action just a little bit one more time is like it was basically in the $45 to $50 range from October 21 to October 25. But then what happens is pre-market SMCI filed an 8Q report with SEC, and they announced in that report that their auditor Ernst& and Young (EY) was resigning. This literally caused the stock to crash almost 50% in a matter of seconds pre-market. I remember that day because I did have a big position in SMCI. So it crashed because of the report. And notice it crashed. It might have crashed in seconds, but even if you relate to the party, the market wasn't so efficient. Like later on, the price kept going down and down and down all the way to it got to a low of like 17, and then it has a huge bounce back here. And why the huge bounce back? The biggest reason is there was another SEC filing. They filed an 8Q after hours where they announced a new accountant and a NASDAQ and a plan to be compliant with the NASDAQ. So this was the cause of the rebound. So basically, these are two very important SEC filings where if we had actionable insights from them, we could really improve our trading. You can also actually trade based on this. Like, let's say a new SEC filing comes in and the LLM says sell, you'll sell. If it says buy, you'll buy. But I'm not the biggest fan of these types of things because these knee jerk reactions, especially in cases like, let's say, earnings report, a CEO says something, the stock will crash. The next second he says something else, stock will go up, or she says something else, the stock will go up or down. But in the case of filings, and in SMCI's case, it seemed like the move stayed for a while in both cases. By the way, there's a slight jump already here. This is because from this day to this day, there was basically a rumor that SMCI was going to file a plan with the NASDAQ to become compliant. Okay, so with that intro out of the way, the goal of this video is literally in three parts. So part one is I want to show you guys how we can retrieve these SEC filings in HTML format from the SEC's electronic data gathering, analysis, and retrieval, known as the EDGAR database. And I'll show you how to programmatically get these HTML files with a package called SEC Downloader. So if you go to sec.gov, you can search these SEC filings, and there's this EDGAR database that has all the filings electronically, and there's an API to access that. This SEC downloader package is basically a wrapper to that API. So I'll show you how to use that. And then, since these HTML files are like really pretty websites, if you see the actual HTML code, you'll notice it has a ton of metadata and a lot of junk. So there's a lot of unnecessary things you don't want to just feed your LLM. So I'm going to show you how to use a package called HTML2 text to basically get rid of a lot of that junk in HTML and just leave a lot of the relevant text. And then I'm going to show you guys in part 3 how we can use an open source model from AI21, the Jamba 1.5 large, to extract actionable insights from these filings, basically giving us a summary and a decision of buy, sell, or hold. Okay, so let's get started. So in the first part, we are going to show you how to get these SEC form downloads. So as I just mentioned, we're going to use this package SEC Downloader. So if you click this link, you go to the GitHub, and this is a very cool package because it basically like abstracts a lot of the details. But if you actually do want to know some of the details, there's a YouTube channel called Adam Get Bags, and his YouTube channel has super amazing info on SEC filings and the API, the EDGAR API. So if you go to Adam Get Bags, you'll see SEC API. Highly recommend that channel. Okay, so let's get started. So first, let's install the SEC Downloader package. So pip install SEC Downloader. And now we're going to need to basically initialize the downloader, and the SEC requires us to basically identify ourselves. So we're going to need to basically say downloader, let's say DL equals downloader. And then we're going to have to give a company name. So just either your company name or make something up. I'll call myself Trade Mamba. And then you have to give an email address. So I'll do trademamba@gmail.com. So this is how you initialize the downloader. So now you need to retrieve metadata. And there's a function called dl.get filings metadata, request filings to get that. So if you look at his example, you'll see that there's this function here. Yeah, so okay, so he has a example here. So I click this, and you see metadatas equals dl.get filing metadatas requested filings ticker or SCIK equals Microsoft form equals 10K. So you basically give it a form type and you give it a ticker or CIK. CIK is basically the unique identifier for the security for the SEC. But what's nice about this package is it wraps that, so you don't have to ever give it the CIK. You can just give it the symbol directly. So if we run this, we get the metadatas the example says. You can also make it into a data frame, so you can do like import pandas as PD, df equals pd.dataframe metadatas, and you see you have like a session number, form type, primary doc URL, and a bunch of other things. The most important things here, I guess, are the form types, the session number, the filing dates, of course, but the session number is basically the unique document identifier number. And the primary doc URL is if you click this URL, this is where you can get an HTML file, which we're going to be downloading for the LLMs. Okay, so but in our case, we want to focus on super microcomputers specifically, SMCI, and let's do a few forms. We can do 10K, 8Q, and 8K. So let me show you how to do that. So like basically, let's write a symbol. Symbol is SMCI, and then we can give a list of forms 10K, 10Q, 10K, 8K. I did that split to make it an array. I have this metadata list. It's going to be basically one list for each of the form types. So I iterate, and each time I call this with the symbol SMCI, the form type, the form 10Q, then 10K, then 8K. I do a limit as 200 forms each. I append everything, and then I concatenate it into a data frame. And then since this is sorted by form type and then date, we're going to actually just sort everything by filing date. So if you do that, you get the metadata, and it's df metadata, and it's like last time, but has everything. So this starts from 2007 all the way up to the current time, 11/26. So since this is basically a tutorial, we're going to only focus on the current year, like 2024 and above. So let's filter basically on filing date greater than or equal to 2024. So I can do df metadata equals df metadata.filing date. Huh, it's funny. Same thing, but the Google's autocomplete is pretty good sometimes. So I think this would work. df metadata. So I filtered, and now I only have 2024. As you see, the first one is 2024. So good. So this is like the data set we want. So now what I want to do is each of these things has a primary doc URL. So if I'll show you like the first example, I can show you like let's say I can do df metadata dot primary doc URL dot iloc0. I can get the first URL. I don't know why it decided to take a long time. So I can get this URL. You see it's a .htm file, which is basically an HTML file. So if you do Control C and you can like go here, you can see this is the document. So we want to programmatically download these documents. Okay, so we can use this like DL, that download filings method. So that is also an example here. He has the download HTML files. So basically, we're going to just be doing that. So let me do that. So we can do, we'll call the new column HTML, and we'll do df metadata HTML equals primary doc URL dot apply. So we're going to apply this dl.download that he has here with the it's dl.download filing, gives it the URL, and then he does decode, and then you get the HTMLs, but we do the apply, so we get it for each thing in our data frame. So we can look at the HTMLs because now we have a new row called HTML. We have like iloc0. So look at the HTML is this very ugly thing. As you see, it has a ton of metadata, and this is very long. Look, it's very ugly. So there's a lot of junk. We'll take care of that later, but you can view this nicely if you want with Jupyter or Google Colab by doing the HTML method. So I can do from ipython.display import HTML, and as you see, this is the HTML document, nice and neat. But we're gonna have to parse this because like the previous form, as I showed you, had so much junk in it. So let me just remind you guys, like without the pretty printing, look at how it looked like. It had like basically a ton of junk, and we want to reduce some of that junk because this just has way too many characters, and if we're going to feed it to the LM, it's going to be very wasteful, and I'll show you how wasteful it is in a second. So we're going to basically use this package called HTML2text to get rid of the junk. I found that this works better than Beautiful Soup. So let's see if so we can do pip install HTML2text, and then to get rid of the junk, we can use this method that I am copying from my notes. Um, so we can basically use this method. And the code, by the way, I have a Medium blog on this. So if you guys are interested, please look at the Medium blog. Of course, this is a plugin to like and subscribe if you guys find this helpful. I really do appreciate that. And the code is in the Medium blog, so I'll post the link there. So when I call this function, I'm gonna basically call it with the pandas apply method on every HTML um, string, and then I get something called text only. So this is basically something with getting rid of a lot of the junk with HTML. But if we look at the first example, so I do text only the ilog 0, you'll see it still has a lot of junk. It still has all these lines and stuff like that. But that said, there's still an amazing gain in terms of it's a lot smaller. So if I do df metadata dot text only dot str dot length dot describe, I get kind of the distribution of this text only thing. And as you see, the maximum is 218,000 characters, and the average is just 20,000. The median is only 5,000. But if I look at, like, let's say the HTML, so if I do df metadata.html .str.length.describe, you'll see that the median is like way bigger, and the average is like over a mil, like 150,000, and max is huge. Even though like the HTML to begin with was cleaned a little with this guy's package, but this just shows you like this is a huge savings, even though there's still junk, by the way. So we can even do a little better and remove more junk, but this is good enough for our purposes. Okay, so because I want to focus on the two aforementioned cases where like SEC filings had a huge impact on SMCI stock, meaning when they filed the 8K with EY's resignation, and when they filed the 8Q with announcing like the new accountant, BDO USA, and the NASDAQ compliance plan. Um, I want to filter, I want like basically to filter on documents that contain the word audit, because that kind of gives me the set of things I want. So if I basically, I'll do something like df audits equals df metadata the text only str contains audit case equals false, and let me just look at the shape of the resulting thing. So we get 9 different documents that contain the word audit. So now it's the fun part. We have 9 documents of SEC filings that contain the word audit. Let's apply AI21's Jamba model to these, and let's see what it tells us to do. Should we buy, sell, or hold? Also, I wanted to provide us with a summary of the things. So first, actually, let me just talk about this AI21 model for a second. And the reason I chose this, to be honest with you guys, is one, my my ChatGPT key. It's funny, like my account stopped working. I'm out of credits. So, anyways, this gives you free credits, But the bigger picture is, as you guys, many of you are familiar with my other videos on, like, let's say, Llama 3 for Meta. I'm a big fan of open source because you can fine tune things and make things like built to your use case. But if we go on to AI21's website, you see like it's kind of like I think they call themselves like Israel's version of OpenAI. We can go to models, and you see there's a model called Jamba, and Jamba model is basically an open source model. They have mini and large models, and you can see try on a Hugging Face. So you can literally download this model yourself. I did try this, but like I didn't have enough compute, so like you do need more GPUs for this stuff. It's bigger than it looks. I'm talking the mini model, by the way. I think you need two like NVIDIA H100 or A100 GPUs. But anyways, what's cool about this model is it has like a very long context window. It's very fast, and basically has a novel approach. So like the reason I chose the model to be on this is it has my name in it, Jamba's Mamba transformer. But anyways, enough with this. Let me show you how to get started with this AI21. So the other link I have is like their docs. So you can go to their docs, docs.ai21.com. This is the developer documentation. You go to account because we're gonna need an API key. Usually it asks you to fill in a ton of things and that sort of thing. It asks you basically like what company you work for, what's your job type, all that stuff. But I did that already. And then you go to like API key here, and then you have API key. You can do regenerate key. So you can copy this key and you put this key like here in your secrets, like as I did in a lot of things. You put it here, and then you can get the API key from Google Collab Secrets. So I'll show you how to do that. So we'll do that from Google Collab dot Google.collab import user data, and I didn't call it AI21 key. I called it AI21 API key. But see, the autocomplete should be a little bit smarter. It knows the key names I have, but like it's still called the AI21 key. Anyways, and let's also do AI21 API key. So we get the API key by calling this method grant access. Okay. So now they have a Python SDK. So let's download that. So pip install AI21. And then we're going to connect to the client. So I'm on the free version. And so far they haven't given me issues with like using it too much. But I've barely used it, to be honest with you guys. But let's hope in this video it won't be my first issue. So let's connect to the AI21 client now. So to do that, we're going to basically need to do client equals AI21 client, API key equals AI21 API key, and let's import this. So I'll do import. I should do from AI21. From AI21 import AI21 client. I think that's it. By the way, this error, I got an error and it says I need to restart, but for some reason it still works. So let's hope it works. So the other okay. So now let me show you guys like how to do this. So if you guys are familiar with many of my videos and chat completion API for ChatGPT, like with OpenAI and Llama and stuff like that. You guys will this will be very familiar with you, so I'm gonna kind of rush through it. If many of you guys are interested, we can like make a new video on this. So basically I'm gonna create a wrapper that calls calls like a chat message type thing where you have like a basically like a user and a system and that sort of thing. And then it's gonna return basically an answer, and we're gonna ask it to like do two things. One is to give a summary of the filing. So basically, we want to know like what the filing was about, like what was the 10K, what was the 8Q, what was the 8K about. And we also wanted to give like a straight up one answer of buy, sell, or hold. So to be more precise, we have a list of messages. So like we have like a content and a role. So these are chat messages. ChatGPT has it. OpenAI has it like is in a dictionary form, but here they use like a chat message, which is a little bit nicer. So basically, I wrote this thing. Summarize the following SEC filing as concisely as possible, extracting key financial performance and risk factors. Based on the filing, would you recommend an investor to buy, sell, or hold the stock? And then I wrote, please pick only one answer because sometimes it likes to not pick an answer. And then, so I'm going to call the chat completions API. So, like, I do response equals client.chat.completions.create, messages equals messages, model equals Jamba 1.5 large, temperature equals 0 because we don't want to randomize it. And I have a max tokens. So this is Jamba summarize. And we're going to call this Jamba summarize for every single, basically, the text small we did earlier. So I'm going to do df audits Jamba summary equals df audits text only dot apply Jamba summarize. Let's hope I don't run into usage warnings. I've never had this problem, so let's hope it works. So now I'm basically getting a summary and a decision of buy, sell, or hold. Of course, if you want to see this in a live trade, you would need like a much more like structured output. Like you would need like a pedantic type thing, where like it'll be like buy, sell, or hold. So then we can literally trade based on that. Like if buy, buy, sell, sell. And like I said, if enough people ask me, I will make a video on trading based on these SEC filings. So like now it's applying the summarize for every single thing. And let's wait a little bit for it to do that. So while it's doing that, if you guys are new, please like and subscribe. Okay, great. So I finished it. We have a summary for each of these texts. So now what I want to do is I want to filter only summaries that talk about two have two things in them. Either EY, Ernst Young, is in the text, or BDO. BDO is the new auditor. EY is the auditor that left SMCI. BDO is the auditor that BDO USA is the auditor that they replaced it with. So these were the two biggest SEC filings. So like I have this function that prints it out nicely, the HTML and then the summary. So this is the first document. This is the form. This talks about like EY, Ernest Young resigning. This is what caused the stock to crash literally 50% pre-market in a few seconds. So so this is like the HTML, and then look at what the Jamba model says. It talks about summarizes it financial performance. Company has not yet had its financial statements or internal control over financial reporting for the fiscal year. It talks about the resignation of EY, the company's auditor, because it raised concerns about integrity and ethical values of the company's management and internal control. So that's like some big no-nos. And then it talks about risk factors. And I guess I should have maybe printed it more pretty so I can do this. Maybe I should do, instead of print, I'll do markdown. Down. So let's see if this is nicer. Because it looks like it's a markdown. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so at first it talks about the EY resigning. Oh, sorry. Because it's in a loop, you have to actually do display. Okay, so the first HTML is about EY resigning. And look at what Jamba's model said. We talked about, sorry, the first one is, sorry, I confused you guys. So the first one is EY resigning. It talks about like how they haven't filed their financial statements. EY resigned because of concerns about integrity and ethical values and internal controls. So big no-nos. And with the Hindenburg short seller report coming before that, this is really bad. And also there was like SEC investigation rumor. So that with that context, that was really bad. And of course, as part of a large RAG pipeline, it would be even better because we'll have that context. And it talks about the risk factors. EY raised risk factors about governance, transparency, completeness of communications, as well as internal controls over financial reportings. Reporting won't be done in a timely manner, that sort of thing. But what's most important is the recommendation is sell the stock. And selling the stock was completely the right recommendation because it went from pretty much $50 to as low as 17 in the few weeks later, week and a half. Um, so like the explanation is the resignation of the auditor and identified governance and internal control issues indicate significant risks that could negatively impact the company's financial performance and reputation. So the model did a great job with that. The second document was the one that led the stock to soar and almost double since then. It says they pretty much hired uh, BDO USA as their new auditor, and it talked about like they want to do like a new Nasdaq compliance plan. So the summary that Jamba gave is basically they didn't get their 10K in time. We know that before. They submitted a compliance plan to the Nasdaq to regain compliance, um, and it talks about like I don't know why it didn't say that they hired a new auditor, so that's not ideal. But basically, it talks about risk factors. We don't know if the Nasdaq will approve or deny the compliance plan, um, and stuff like that. So like the recommendation is based on the filing. The recommendation is to hold the stock, and then it gives an explanation. The company is taking steps to address its compliance issues, but there are significant uncertainties regarding its ability to meet Nasdaq's requirements and complete necessary financial filings. So like truthfully, long term, this could be the right answer. Is like there's too much risk and it's better to hold the stock. But short term, the stock nearly doubled from this report. So like obviously that was the wrong decision. Was better to buy the stock. But this is where like having this more context of like other news related things, chatter, and also as part of a large RAG pipeline, and more importantly, things like fine tuning can really take this to the next level. I will say that, like in my experience with OpenAI's GPT-4, it seems to do a slightly better job in this type of thing, but it's not open source, so like the open source thing is a huge benefit in the Jamba's favor. Um, so just as a bonus, I wanted to say like I wanted to look at the last filing. So the last filing, if we look at the DF metadata, so I'll look at the whole metadatas. Metadata dot iloc minus one. Uh, let's look at the HTML for a second, and then I'll print it. So this last filing was happened a few days ago. It talked basically, if you read it, it talks about okay, it says on November 20th, Super Microcomputers prepaid in full and terminated its obligations under each of the loan agreement, by and among the company and Cafe Bank, and amended, otherwise modified the loan and security agreement with Bank of America. So basically, they finished with their loan agreement. So, what does the Jamba model think about that? Let's check it out. So, one second. So let's see what the Java model thinks about that. We can call the summarize function again. We'll do Jamba summarize latest HTML. Latest HTML is this file. So let me call this latest HTML equals df metadata iloc minus one. And then I can do the Jamba summarize. Oops, it's latest HTML. No, that's it. Latest. Okay. So let's see. So like in message boards, people said like, okay, maybe this is bullish because it means like Supermicro has like enough cash on hand, they can pay all their obligations. Let's see what this says. So it says the company SMCI has terminated its obligations under the loan agreements, uh, and it says indicating a potential improvement in its financial health and liquidity, which is good. Um, and but it gives a recommendation of hold. It says given the limited information in the specific filing, it's prudent to maintain the current position until more detailed financial data is available to make an informed decision. So so I guess like it's pretty decent answer. Some people said it's bullish, of course, like I said a second ago, because it means like they have the cash to pay that what they owe. But like there's not that much. The stock did go up after this, but that could also be due to Dell's earnings not being so great, and people were worried that Dell might steal market share from SMCI given the controversy in the server markets, but that wasn't the case. Anyways, I'm rambling too much. This is just the intro using the model as is. We should really fine tune and make it part of a larger RAG pipeline. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and message me if you want this to have a trading bot based on this.